Welcome to the Best Damn Podcast. This is your host, Jill Lagan, CEO of the Boulder City Chamber of Commerce. In each episode, we will highlight what makes Boulder City, home of the Hoover Dam, the ideal place to operate your small business, explore world-class tourism attractions, and discover why we are the perfect place to live and unwind. All right, we have a world-famous celebrity, the father of Zoltar, Mr. Olaf Stanton with Characters Unlimited. I cannot wait for this interview. You happen to be somebody that in the back of my mind is so creative, so clever. I cannot wait to get into your head.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, we're glad to be a part of your podcast and be stationed here in Boulder City, Nevada. It's really cool.
People don't realize that, but you are a celebrity amongst us because it truly is international, and Zoltar is, and Characters Unlimited. I would imagine you've got characters also all over the world.
Yeah, we sure do. We incorporated in 1986, and my wife, Christian, and I are both from Wisconsin, and born and raised there in a tourist town called Wisconsin Dells, which is the tourist mecca of the Midwest, the water park capital of the world. And we both worked in the tourist industry all our life, and we put ourselves through college working in the tourist industry. Well, I went to school for business administration. When I was done, I had a marketing degree and wanted to do something on my own. And we had this talent to make these life-size characters, and I wanted to try something different. And my brother happened to be out here in Nevada, in Boulder City, because he stumbled through here selling some characters like we had been taught to do from our stepfather. And the guys that were in Boulder City were from Wisconsin, and they were working on the boats on Lake Mead because they had Coast Guard licenses. So they were stationed here in the winter. Mm-hmm. So he ended up staying here, and when I graduated, he happened to be here. So I flew out, and we started it up together. For about 10 years we were together, and we used to work out of the back of a rented duplex on Wyoming and California Street, and made the characters in the backyard in the garage, and we'd load up a van full of 20 characters, and we'd hit the road.
Totally remember this.
For 2 weeks at a time, we'd hit the road, and we would sell characters until we were done. We had 2 cats on the dashboard, and me and my wife, and sometimes we had to sleep between the characters when we didn't have enough money or couldn't find a place to stay. And then we started doing trade shows, and we started making them. People ask for moving and talking, and it just developed over the years. But we always have been making our customers' businesses attractions. I have a stack of testimonies from over the years that people say, this character to talk to move was $5,000 when we bought it, but it's the best investment we ever made for our business. People remember it. They tell their friends. If you're ever in Sedona, be sure to stop at the shop that has the cowboy out front that waves, and not to mention Boulder City, the Mexican Center, the Indians out there forever. And then the Southwest Diner, we changed the characters up for Christmas. We changed it for 4th of July, and we're going to be turning the cowboys into the Easter Bunny here, but those 2 cowboys out front waving are a huge attraction for her, not to mention Grandma Daisy's. And we like to get them in town and local when we have to, but when we can. But yeah, we really literally sell them all over the world.
I think that's fascinating. So do you keep like a journal or some kind of a spreadsheet that says where they're all at so that you know what countries they're all in?
I had a map on my wall of my shop that had the pins in it. But it got to be so full that I kind of fell off. But I would say
that's called success.
We're well over half of the countries. With the whole Zoltar thing that came about in 2006 that I looked into, that really put us on the map even more. But prior to that, all we sold is characters to sit in front of people's businesses, that a talking cowboy, talking pirate, a talking old farmer. We sell to restaurants, we sell to gift shops, we sell to museums, we sell to people that want something fun for their home.
We have an old miner that we took to the cabin and put it in.
You just had it in the outhouse.
Yes, that's right. Yep. Yeah, scared me to death one time, and I'm not telling that story because Barry still makes me mad that he got me, but I love it. And so the Zoltar, the branding cap, you've got a huge strategy on this now because it's kind of taken on its own life. Yeah. So hats and shirts and wine bottles, and it has really advanced. How are you keeping track of all of that, and what more do you want to see that do? I know you probably have bigger plans.
Fortunately, I've got some young people in the business. Karina and Gunnar are with me now, and after college, and Zoltar helped put them through.
Thanks, Zoltar.
And fortunately, Zoltar is doing well enough to be able to keep them, and they're really taking it to the next level. We started making fortune teller machines and the guy in the box in the late 90s, and people would want something that they could put money in. So you put 50 cents in the old miner, and he'd tell you a miner story, or a pirate tell you a pirate story. And then I decided, well, let's add the ticket feature. We'll make a fortune teller miner, a fortune teller pirate. And then the movie Big came out in '88, And I thought, well, it'd be cool to make a Zoltar, but I can't call it Zoltar because that's probably trademarked. But so we called it Swami. And we had a Swami guy.
Really?
And it looked kind of like a Zoltar. People were always calling it that. And that became quite popular because people would compare it to the movie. Well, I just assumed that somebody had already trademarked Zoltar.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2006, my mom was dating her old high school sweetheart. They got together. And he happened to be a lawyer out of Madison, Wisconsin. And he said, well, why don't you look into the trademark status of Zoltar? And I said, well, it's probably taken. I can't imagine it would still be open after, this is 2006 when we looked into it.
Right.
And sure enough, nobody had trademarked Zoltar.
Wow.
So we trademarked Zoltar.
It was meant to be for you.
Across the board. We own all aspects of it, and we're looking into all kinds of opportunities. So now we have our Zoltar games. There's a really cool replica of Zoltar put out by New Wave Toys. It's fully functional. It does everything the big one does. It sells for about $150 on eBay. It's really awesome. We got the Zoltar wine where the back of the bottle peels off to reveal your fortune. And we're trying to get that into different states. We've got 4 different states that we have distributors in right now.
That one is awesome. I'm loving that.
Yeah, and then we have people in Boulder City that are handling it. Southwest Diner, Cindy's nice enough to carry it there. Looks like we're going to be going into the Supper Club and Big T's Cantina. And in these casinos, we have Zoltar slot machines too.
Really?
Every Gaming licensed it about 5 years ago, right before the pandemic, and Zoltar slot machine hit the market. It did well, and then the pandemic came along and it stalled. But Zoltar survived through the pandemic, and now it's on its 4th generation of Zoltar slot machine, and there's 500 of them out around the country.
Wow!
We probably have about 90 of them in the Vegas area, and throughout the country, the Indian casinos like them and other ones. But it's getting bigger all the time. Who knows?
Cool.
We could be the next Buffalo, or we could be the next Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
So some of these casinos, they want to do a Zoltar slot promotion. And they'll buy a bunch of wine and they'll give wine away to the slot club.
For their points.
The Railroad Pass right up the street has 4 of our Zoltar slot machines now.
How cool.
They're doing very, very well for them. And the Bellagio, Circa is just to name a few, but that's been very exciting. And we also have a license that just came out, which is a Zoltar scratch-off lottery ticket.
Really?
And the company that sells scratch-off lottery tickets to the various states is very excited about Zoltar because he's whimsical. He's all about your future and good luck.
Yeah.
And they're testing it right now in Virginia, and they are introducing it to other states. They have to sell each state one at a time. So we're hoping the Zoltar scratch-off lottery ticket is a big success.
That is so cool. I had no idea. And you don't think about all these different places that you could creep into. You're thinking of it as more entertainment. They walk up to it, they see it. But I never thought about the casino side of it. And I would imagine other gaming aspects and board games and bobbleheads and
bingo cards. Yeah, there's a Zoltar board game. There's a Zoltar card game. There's some stuff that pops up on the internet that's totally unauthorized that we got to kind of police. And for lack of a better term, we're trying to make Zoltar great again, and it's getting better all the time. So
I love it. Yeah. Well, I don't know that Zoltar ever wasn't great, so you have done a fabulous job of keeping it in that same place.
If you remember the Liberty Mutual commercial was out during the pandemic where Zoltar, Statue of Liberty and Zoltar pops open and rides away on a unicycle.
Yes.
That was like a big Zoltar commercial for us. It kind of brought our version of Zoltar to the public. Because this is
I'm sure AI
the new generation of Zoltar. People don't even really, our generation remembers the movie but now it's our Zoltar that's kind of the
that
attraction.
Is very cool. I think that's awesome. I would imagine that your creativity though in the branding of it, that's running and the kids are probably really helping with that. But how do you come up with the different characters? Because I know that you're very specific, and I really appreciated your note that you're not looking to go into the whole robotics and even Disney trying to improve all their animatronics. You really like to honor the historic looking and the traditional because those are what made you who you are. And I really love that. But how do you come up with those different characters and those different molds and faces?
Well, we started off with cowboys and Indians, sea captains and pirates. And then the more people you deal with and the more people, I could bring 20 characters to a trade show and pack them into a 10 by 10 booth and end up leaving the trade show. And the only thing I sold was 2 characters that I didn't even have at the show. And there's people that want little something different.
Yeah, customized.
They want it to look like, when Mount St. Helens blew up, After that, they wanted this guy named Harry. He's a guy who survived. He refused to leave his campground. And anyway, we did a likeness of him from photographs. And,
really?
Yeah. And then people would say, well, can you make him talk? Can you make his eyes move? Can you make him breathe? And, well, I guess we can. And people kind of force us into things. And then we bring things back like the man in the outhouse where you put in $1, you open the door, and Gabby's in there reading a Sears and Roebuck catalog with those long underwear on. I mean, this is kind of entertainment and it's educational. Like the kids don't know what outhouse is.
Right.
And they get a big kick out of it. And outside the door it says, what do they say? Open the door for $1. Oh, for a good time, open the door, $1. Yeah. Yeah, people get a kick out of that.
So I would imagine over the years you've had a lot of very satisfied customers. Have you ever had any aha moments, something that just stands out in your mind as a turning point? Or
Well, funny stuff, weird stuff. When we first left college and came out here, I had sold a few characters in the town of Menominee, Wisconsin, where we were going to college. And I'd do some trading and I would do some cash. And I sold one to a boot store. And the boot store owner, after my graduation, wanted to get a hold of me because one of his customers wanted me to make a character for him. Well, this guy wanted me to make one of his mother who had passed away.
Oh.
And he wanted a replica of her. He wanted to be able to put his head in her lap and talk to her like he used to. He wanted to have it in the rocking chair in his living room where she used to sit. And
I don't know if that's creepy or very special.
He said, I want to be able to talk to her and put my head in her lap and talk to her. I think, obviously, he was a little off, but hey, who am I to judge?
Yeah,
So
right.
anyway, he ended up sending me a box with her clothes in it, her false teeth, her wedding rings, her eyeglasses, all this stuff. Her false teeth even had to be built into the head. This is back in 1990 or so. And we recreated his mother, and he's pleased as could be. So there's not much we can't do.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. And for that person, he probably was so truly grateful.
You know what? Some people have a portrait of mother. He just had the whole thing. And we made him happy. I like to say we do anything for a buck.
Yeah, that's interesting.
For that reason, but yeah.
In asking a little bit more of information for the show, in one of your funnier moments, you were headed back across Texas for a show. And what happened?
I was going down the middle of Texas, and I headed to the Gulf Coast, and then I had done the Dallas Gift Show. And we have the characters van you might have seen around town, full of characters, and the heads sticking up through the windows. And I get pulled over, and what the heck was I doing, speeding and all this? It was the Border Patrol, and they had a report that I was hauling illegal aliens. So they pulled me over and come up to their window, very serious. And I'm like, you think I'm hauling illegal aliens? These are just a bunch of dummies back there. He thought it was like a cover, and there was probably a couple in there that were real. I had to go through the whole thing.
Oh, man.
And then
Did he just laugh after the whole thing was over?
Afterwards, but he kind of wasn't seeing the humor in it. But afterwards he did. And then my kid who works with me, Brandon, he was sent to California to deliver a custom character. And when we ship characters, we wrap their heads in bubble pack in their hands so they don't get damaged. So we put this one in the passenger seat, and his head's wrapped in bubble pack. Well, he's heading to Los Angeles, and our phone is ringing off the hook at the shop. The cops are trying to get a hold of us, wondering, they wanted to ask us these questions, and they couldn't get a hold of anybody at the shop, so they knocked on my door at the house, and Gunnar happened to be back for lunch. And they asked him these questions. Do you have a gray truck? And somebody's heading to California? And I said, well, yeah, we got somebody heading down there delivering a character. Well, somebody had called in, thought it was a hostage situation.
Oh, geez.
And Brandon had 3 state patrols follow him in a helicopter, waiting to hear what's going on with this vehicle. And he said, no, it's just a character. We're delivered to Los Angeles. It's nothing.
For Brandon,
so
deliver your own dang little guys.
They called out the pursuit, and he didn't know what was going on until he came back.
Oh, my gosh. How fun is all of this? And you don't really think about it. It's just your daily activity. You're around them all day long. But to others, they're probably thinking, what the heck's going on?
For granted sometimes. Yeah.
That is awesome. I love that. Well, so one of my favorite moments that involves Characters Unlimited is many, many years ago. Remember when Mr. Ray owned Boulder City Mortuary? Mm-hmm. And we did our October mixer. We did at the mortuary, and you brought in characters, and we had them. And I have to be careful because it's a sacred place. It's a sanctuary for many. Yes. And so we didn't want to make light of what happens at a mortuary. Mm-hmm. We've all used Boulder City Mortuary. We understand the value and the importance. But that particular time, it was nice to allow everybody to see that even the Ray family, all of us, that you can also have a sense of humor and that we can take life a little less tight, and we were able to kind of let loose a little bit that night. And so we had characters in there, and it was the best attended mixer I've ever had in my 25 years with the chamber. And that night was also homecoming. And the homecoming game. So after the game, we had this huge influx of all of these high school kids because they had all heard about it, and they'd all come over so they could participate, so they could see what was going on in the mortuary.
It's so fun.
It really was.
Well,
it was so
we
fun.
love to do stuff like that with the community and as much as we can. And you remember the haunted house that used to be over by the library?
Yeah.
We used to, a big part of that, we'd bring a lot of stuff in, put animatronics in there, and make it even liven it up quite a bit. That was a good time. And then I think they had to stop it because they found mold in the building or something.
Yeah, Patty Sullivan was headed that up, and she was so good about making sure those kids had a place to go.
Yeah.
That was way fun. I mean, we've had some really cool experiences. Okay, so when you guys were starting this business, was this your end goal? You knew this was going to happen, or did you guys have another path you were going to go down and then this just kind of happened? Or was this always the intent, to always be an entrepreneur?
Well, it was, I've always been raised around entrepreneurs. My family was in business in Wisconsin for generations in this tourist town. And I kind of finished college as a backup in case I had to just get a job like everybody else. And I came out here first and started doing this. And Christian my wife was a semester behind me in college, and she came out after that. And here she flies out here. I'm living in a rented duplex. We're trying to make a living selling these characters, and it was tough at first. You know, and how her mom asked her, my friends would ask me, what is Christian doing out there running around trying to sell these characters out of a van? Aren't you worried about it? He said, well, I guess she really loves them. And we just hung in there. And as I guess what they say, the fear of failure is a great motivator for success. And I refused to fail. And we just found avenues and ways to make it work. And the feedback that I kept getting from my customers of how much of an attraction these are and what they did for their business. At first, people would see me at shows, and I've got all these characters, and it's the most unusual thing you'd ever see at a show. Young guy selling dummies.
Yeah.
People go by, oh, who buys these? And what do you do for a living? I sell these, and who buys them? And I can't believe I actually making a living doing this. And at first, it wasn't much of a living, but eventually we were able to build a house, and people say, well, it's a nice house. They say, well, that's the house that dummies built. And they look at me like,
I love that. What a great statement.
Yeah.
And I find it fascinating that entrepreneurial spirit is always something that totally drives and intrigues me. But I find it even more interesting that you saw the benefit to those business owners for them to have it at their location. So they didn't even know initially. I would imagine the Gomez's probably always had that insight. But the idea that, because I was in high school when that van showed up in town. I can completely remember it driving around town with its dummies. I totally remember it. But I can really see the value, like you said, that it's an attraction item and it's a memory maker. And people, there's so much benefit to having that as an investment in their business.
You know what, Jill, that's what kept me enthused about it, is seeing the people and the responses. And they would tell me how much it made their business more of a success. And during the rough times and the recessions, you'd think people wouldn't buy it, but no, people were scratching up their last money at these shows to get this cowboy, a talking cowboy. They would sit in front of their store in Jackson Hole, Wyoming to draw customers, and it worked.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be that great of a salesman if you truly believe in your product, and it shows, and you radiate that to people. And that's what I would do. I'd sit at these trade shows, and we can read people's badges as they're coming down the aisle.
Right.
So they would get to my booth, and I'm standing off, and I already had their name, so I'm talking on a wireless microphone. They're looking at the cowboy, and I pop up, and I go, hey, Jill, how you doing? Well, God, they practically jump out of their shoes.
Yeah.
And they're scared, and they're excited, and he's like, and when you can see the wheels turning, he says, wow, if that got my attention like this, imagine what it could do for my business.
That's right.
And then you swoop in, and before you know it, they're spending $4,000 on an animated character. And it's like, they're at the end of the sale, it's like, well, this is the last thing I thought I was going to buy coming to the Denver gift show or coming to the LA gift show or Seattle. But you know what? Those people, I just have a guy today. It's called the Church Brothers Family Fun Center. He bought a pirate from me 20 years ago.
Wow.
From the Pool and Spa show. Still has it. But he revisited me and needed the head motor for the pirate and ended up buying a head motor for a parrot he bought from me. And now he's buying a pirate 20 years later to add to his collection. He's tropical. And then he called this morning. He wants to add the beach bum with bare arms and bare feet. And the guy's, he's my age, and he knew me back when we were just starting off, and he's still a customer. So
you've really built some real relations.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, we dealt with our Richie Klein from the Imperial Palace Auto Collection, one of my first big customers. We probably sold him 30 characters that sit in the antique cars, and we did the W.C. Fields and Elvis Presley for him first, and they had their cars there. And then the Terrible Herbst was one of our first customers. Mr. Herbst always loved our characters. He put them all over the balconies of the Orleans when they opened. We've got Terrible Herbst's character we did a likeness of, and they always would like to decorate their places with our characters.
That's very cool.
You can go down to Searchlight right now, and you've got Terrible Herbst sitting on a barrel, and you walk by in a motion detector, and
I did not know that was him.
Welcomes you to the casino.
That's cool. Yeah. I've seen it, but I did not realize it was after him. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's Terrible, the logo, but not Mr. Herbst.
I was going to say
the character, Terrible.
Oh, yeah. Got it. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
And we made Whiskey Pete. We made Arizona Charlie likenesses. Just to name a few over the years. But
how fun! What was your very first job?
My very first job was shining shoes out front of my parents' restaurant in Wisconsin Dells. At 10 years old, my shoe shine box, and
cool.
sat out there when people would leave. People had they wore black shoes and white socks, and you had to be careful not to get the polish on the white socks, or you wouldn't get a tip. But then after that, it was washing dishes, driving a pony cart, kids behind on ponies and driving around a circle, and then selling tickets to the boat rides, the famous Upper and Lower Dells boat rides in Wisconsin Dells. That was like that 12-year job, and I made really good money doing that.
So do you feel like your entrepreneurial life that has happened since, do you think that really was foundationally created by your parents?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. But it's funny how good things come from not so good things. My parents got divorced when I was like 14. My mom got the restaurant called the Call of the Wild in Wisconsin, and she was running the restaurant by herself. This man comes through selling Indian jewelry. We had a jewelry shop, and he set up a jewelry show in the dining room and gave her a percentage. It was Hank Dominic, and she ended up marrying him. That fall, while I was on a hunting trip with my dad in North Dakota, I came back, and where's Mom? She went to Vegas with Hank and got married.
Oh, my gosh.
And 2 months later, he's taking me out of my freshman year of high school, moving us to Arizona.
Wow.
Hated him.
Oh, no.
But anyway, he knew I always wanted horses. He made sure, and I had horses. He got me horses down there. I helped him make the characters. Then we moved back to Wisconsin to Mom sold the restaurant. Then we moved to Idaho. I went to high school in Scottsdale, Arizona. Then we moved to Idaho. I went to Central High in Boise, and then we moved to Meridian, which is on the outskirts. I went to my junior year in Meridian High School.
Yeah, I know Meridian.
And then I ended up graduating from my high school in Wisconsin Dells. So I went to 4 different high schools.
Wow, that's amazing.
But anyway, during that whole time, I would help him with the dummy business, and I would cast heads, and then we would build bodies and do that, and that's what we brought to Nevada. And I didn't think I was going to do it really till the last year of my college. I was grasping for something to try, and I thought this could be it. And looking back, I never would have dreamed that we'd be where we are now.
This successful.
Yeah.
So I wonder what Krish was thinking as you were asking her to come to the desert and make dummies and sleep in the back of a van with dummies. I need to interview her because I think her mindset.
She wanted to be a lawyer. She had a psychology degree.
Oh, I bet.
Or she could have done anything she wanted. But she came out here, and we didn't have insurance or anything. I was doing my own thing. She got a job as a flight attendant. She worked for American Transair, and then she worked for Pia Airlines, which is Pia Zadora Airlines. They had
I didn't know that.
One or two planes. Pia Zadora's husband owned the airline, and then she worked for the company that flies planes to the test center. She did that. But by the time our third child, Callie, came along, it was just too much, and she ended up quitting being a flight attendant. But it was a perfect thing for her to do that. We could.
That is awesome.
Work around her job and kind of eased into being able to be a stay-at-home mom. So.
Yeah, she was a phenomenal stay-at-home mom, and I'm very grateful that I got to get to know her better. And
somehow she just believed in me and believed I could do in this, and she did her thing, and I did mine. I would go on for sometimes 3 weeks at a time on the road. I would go from here. I would go to Denver. I would go to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, Washington, tour a show, down to Orlando, come back. I mean,
so she was like a single parent for quite some time.
Yeah, but she handled it. Didn't put stress on me. I said had enough going on.
Right. Well, and you guys raised such beautiful kids, so great job.
Much.
And she was such a great influence on them. And we love her sister Bridget and Bloom, and so
we colonized.
You did. Thank you.
Brought a lot of people out here, right?
We love it.
I kind of kid Bridget's daughters. I said, you wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for me.
Which is totally weird.
I brought your mom out here, and we had a character at the Lonesome Dove Steakhouse, which is over the hill. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember
Lonesome Dove. And we made a Lonesome Dove character for the movie for them.
Oh.
And we knew the owners, and Bridget came out, and because of the relationship, she got a job there. And then cop comes in, Henderson cop comes in, and
those Henderson PD.
And met Officer Tim, you know.
Yeah, we love him too, and we're grateful for his service. And I'm even more grateful that he's retired and gets to enjoy his real life now. So that's awesome. So what's something that people may not know about you?
Oh, gosh. What is something they don't know about me?
I was very interested to learn from this little tidbit about how you make those mannequins and the impressions that you give them, that they are your teeth.
Oh, some little tidbit about
I never knew that.
Yeah, every character that we do that has a talking feature, when the mouth opens, the upper teeth are my teeth.
That is hysterical.
You know, Dr. Rosenbaum was my dentist at the time, and I said, hey, can I get some of that stuff that you make teeth molds with? And so he gave me some Elgin, told me how to do it. So I mixed it up and stuffed it in my mouth and made an impression of my upper teeth, and now I can cast them out of plaster. So that's one way to be immortalized. And people, when I need body parts, getting back to Tim, he's a buff guy, works out. I made molds on his arms, so I got really nice bare arms that I can make a beach bum out of.
That is awesome. I never knew that.
Now, when our new babies are born in the family, they come up and I make an alternate impression of the baby foot and send them away with a really cool souvenir.
That is very cool.
All my kids, yeah.
Yeah, you've got such a cool talent and so much creativity, and now I will never look at another one of those mannequins different. I will check out their mouth, and I will be looking at their arms. I'm like, whose body part is that?
Definitely need to come up to the shop, and it's what we've done.
That's a great question, because now at the new location, can you offer tours? Is that too dangerous in the workshop?
It's not a new location. We've been in the same location since about 2000.
But you were at temporary.
We had a fire. We had a fire to April 14th, 2 years ago. And the fire was pretty bad. Christian and I were down at La Jolla delivering a fortune teller machine, and we're just sitting down having a cocktail overlooking the ocean in a nice restaurant. We get a phone call from Bridget that says, hey, we don't know what's going on, but this was a Sunday afternoon, but there's smoke coming out of the industrial area, and we think your shop might be on fire. And sure enough, we had an employee who was working on a Sunday up there. Very windy day. He was working on the side yard, cutting some metal. And he left because we were trying to get a rush job out for actually the Detroit Lions. We were doing a coach for the coach of Detroit Lions in a fortune tower box and for the NFL draft. And Steve Hempy across the street noticed the flames and called it in. And by that time, it had destroyed our side yard. A spark had gotten into some wood there. My guy didn't see. He left. 3 hours later, it turned into this roaring blaze. And it was so windy, it was like blowing on a hot coal.
Yeah.
So that got into the shop area through an open door. It was minutes away from a flashover. Everything was gone up. But the fire department got there. They were able to subdue the fire. But by that time, the smoke and the ash and the water damage just got on everything.
Oh.
But it didn't get to the point where it ruined all of our molds. We had maybe 90% of our molds were destroyed. Some were damaged, but that's the core of the business. We're able to carry on. So we rented a temporary shop down the street, which is like a quarter of the room, and we made do for 10 months. Actually, the next week we were sending characters out. So we ended up with a brand new remodeled shop.
Awesome.
Out of the deal, which every adversity carries with it an opportunity.
That's right.
So we're pretty happy with. My kids are even happier that I was forced to throw away half the crap that I've been collecting for 35 years. I swear that you guys started this thing on fire, so I could have to throw out half my stuff. I would come back during the clean-out period and go through the big dumpster. There, get out of there. Oh, you go downtown and check machines.
We're in the middle of a cleansing process.
Gosh, yeah.
Oh, that is crazy.
It ended up being a nice reset.
Yeah. And so do you offer tours?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
We do.
Okay.
Nothing really scheduled, and people knock on the door, or if they do want to schedule something, we will do that. And don't really charge for it, but it would be nice if you spent some money in our swag room, where you get all kinds of hats and T-shirts, and Zoltar merchandise, and the Zoltar wine, and some neat other stuff. But it's a very unusual business, and we are the home of Zoltar, and people don't know that.
I need to come and check that out and start
do.
using that as VIP gifts and stuff that we're taking around the state. And
we just kind of don't play like we're that big a deal, but I wish I had a bigger shop where we could have, we could really make more of a deal out of the home of Zoltar. And we're gradually doing that more and more.
We're not the home of the Hoover Dam. We're the home of Zoltar.
Yeah, the Monster Museum and Zoltar, and there's a lot of cool stuff
there. There really is. We're pretty special.
I go around the country, and like you say, you see Zoltar everywhere. And there's a Facebook site out right now called Zoltar is Everywhere. And when people buy one of our machines, they want to put it in the most prominent spot in their business,
right,
in front of their store in a touristy area, because they're charging $1 for a fortune. And consequently, the exposure we get with Zoltar, there's very likely there's going to be a sequel to the movie Big.
Yes.
Everything else has a sequel.
Yes.
And that's one thing that we did give back, because when Fox Entertainment sold all their stuff to Disney, Fox pretty much acknowledged that we had the trademark to Zoltar, and they would send people to us if they wanted to do a deal, and it was Characters Limited. And then Fox sold to Disney, and Disney's like really uptight about trademarks, and all that we had the Zoltar trademark. Well, I had it for 13 years uncontested. My lawyer says, they can't do nothing. They're going to win in court, but then they're going to appeal. They're going to appeal. And how much do you want to fight Disney? So we end up giving the movie right to Zoltar, part of our trademark, back to Disney.
So that they'll...
Yeah. So if they do another movie, they can use Zoltar in it. We were entertaining deals with Jim Henson Company and stuff like this to do a Zoltar movie. We couldn't do another movie Big. So if they do another sequel to
it'll just be
Big,
more marketing.
We're going to be able to partner with them on the merchandising.
Absolutely.
So it's all good.
Yeah, it all comes back around. That would be very exciting. There's so many opportunities.
Yeah. And we just sold 3 love tester machines. I don't know if you've noticed the love testers in front of Grandma Daisy's.
Yes.
3 love testers, which it's actually you're testing your vibe of what villain in the Disney cast are you most like. And it's funny. They ordered
adorable.
3 of them. They're going to be a promotion. It was sold through another vendor, but at least, we're starting to do business with them.
So many different opportunities, and you're so creative and such an asset to us here in Boulder City. Thank you so much for coming on the show so we can learn a little bit more about you, about Zoltar, about Characters Unlimited, because there's not just Zoltar, there are many, many characters out there. And
it's a pleasure. We do things for people's homes, and if you want something, maybe you want a deceased relative replicated, we can do that too. So,
well, that's quite a marketing ploy. Yeah, very good. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for being here, and we are going to come and check out the home of Zoltar.
All right, I can't wait. Thank you.
This episode of the Best Damn Podcast has been a production of the Boulder City Chamber of Commerce. Please check out all the links and social media handles on our website as well at bouldercitychamber.com. You can find the Best Damn Podcast on all your favorite podcast directories. Like us and share on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time, discover, explore, and unwind in Boulder City.